Do you feel that this is just an English theatre or theatre writ large in Sinhala as well? I mean, what do you feel?
I think
because they are two different worlds.
They are two very different worlds. I don't think you can compare them in that sense, because there are, I know, very good drama schools in Sinhala theatre. I mean, I know personally of one such school where all the actors I have met coming out of it are just stunning. They're very strong, and you know, they do a lot of physical work. And they're fully committed. Someone once told me that a Sinhala theatre actor will earn something like 500 rupees a day.
Yeah.
And they make it their life. They have a dedication, which I find great. You know, I really admire that. Whereas in the English theatre, for some people, it can never be more than the hobby, the passion. You know, we do it for the love of it, not for the money or whatever. But that's not the way it's supposed to be.
And do you feel? I mean, what's the alternative? I mean, or rather, the way forward. I mean, the state sponsorship.
The way forward is state sponsorship. But at the very least, I think a merging of all these very distinct groups. I always say, and I've been saying it for some years now, English theatre is made up of a group of small theatre companies which individually do not have all the components needed for a successful theatrical company to survive and work fruitfully. One theatre will lack, one company will lack a producer, the other one will lack good designers, the other one may not have the best directors.
So pooling together resources.
I just think if English theatre is to develop, is to go forward and create really good stuff, yeah, we do. But the problem is that, you know, everyone has their own agendas.
Absolutely, and I was coming to that because I was part of the audience in the discussion that you had in Gaul on the challenge.
Which didn't go very well at all.
Well, I mean, I thought it was quite interesting actually, but it was a wonderful production, Tracy.
Thank you.
But I'll come back to that. But in terms of the discussion, I think it was very interesting to see fellow personalities, you know, your colleagues even from theatre, having very different ideas about the state of English theatre in the country, and also the way forward. So
no one could agree.
No one could agree. So I'm not. I mean, where does your optimism lie for that pooling of resources that you feel is vital?
My optimism lies in the fact that I think I'm right. And also, I talk very often with Ruanti, and it's something we've been discussing. I also talk about it a lot with Mohammed Adamali. And I know for a fact that the three of us have worked together before, and we're very happy to talk about working together again. But I think everyone needs to join in to start producing really solid theatre. And I mean a solid theatre experience from the moment you walk in that door to the lighting, the sound, the acting, the production.
You know, I want to come down to something, which is that, you know, perhaps there isn't the money, the sponsorship.
Oh, yeah, there isn't.
You know, but just an oblique angle to that, in that it's not also always the case, isn't it? I mean, there are productions that that seem to get an abundance of sponsorships, and then you find different productions which I find artistically more compelling and rigorous and technically more sound.
Well, that's always a thing, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, a commercial production will always attract more sponsors than an artistic one will. That isn't to say that an artistic one means that it's all serious or anything. It's just that something I find very often, everyone tells me, do a comedy, do a comedy, do a comedy.
Almost as if comedy is of a lesser standard.
And I say, you know, I do comedies. Absolutely. My plays are funny. It's just that also they're a little bit weird, or they talk about politics or sex as well, or both. And I like introducing new ideas and new genres, which is, I think people were quite scandalized when Slag came out and stuff like that. But that is what theatre is supposed to do. It's supposed to provoke you and not make you sit back comfortably in your seat.
Do you feel, though, that when in the years that Mind Adventures has done a huge spectrum of productions, do you get the sense that you're speaking to the same audience, or do you feel that the audience is growing?
I think the audience for my work is definitely growing. I think a lot more people kind of know who we are and the kind of stuff we do now, which is, you know, very gratifying, because when we started 10 years ago, we were nobodies. We had a lot to prove. And it was 3 girls as well. So 3 girls kind of going and saying, you know, can we have your money? We're doing this fabulous show. They're like, oh yeah. All right, so we had a lot of that to deal with, and all sorts of tags like, you know, they're a purely feminist company, whatever. And
you're doing a lot of stuff now, not just with theatre, but I think many of us grew up hearing your voice on the radio in the morning, and still have very fond memories of just getting up in the morning. And it was a different type of radio as well. It wasn't the morning show that you kind of switch off to today. Do you have any plans to go back into radio and entertain us again, as it once was?
Well, funnily enough, I have been thinking about it, but and I have had some offers.
Back to the same station, because you've said that if you were to go back, it would be the same.
Only to that station. I have to say, I spent the best years of my 20s there. It was an unrivaled atmosphere of just creativity and freedom, and you know, our boss was, he was strict in one way, but he let us have so much creative freedom, really kind of encouraged us to explore.
You know, it just occurred to me, here's maybe a question for you. Do you feel that in terms of both radio and what you did, and also in terms of theatre, that production values have, I don't know, eroded over the years?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
I think it's this feeling of close enough is good enough. I am a perfectionist. I had a reputation at the radio station for being just absolutely awful when it came to sort of production work, and I was very, you know, kind of bit, you know, getting all the old whip out and lashing at people. But it's basically what your priorities are, what your objectives are, and if production is a big part of that, then it has to be good. And I don't really know why it is slacked off, why people don't make as much effort as they should. But it's that this whole, I think it's part of the national kind of consciousness, if you like. Close enough is good enough, you know. Oh, I don't know, it's kind of, you know, all right there. Yeah, you know, people won't be able to tell the difference, kind of thing. Which is, you're letting yourself down when you do that. And people who don't make the effort to do the best they can, really, the only people they're letting down in the end are themselves.
I want to look at your work in, again, one of the topics that came up in the discussion in Gaul, the politics of the country. And we talked about the dangers, the difficult, the sheer challenge of doing something political, because of the way it would be seen, you know, what line it would cross, whose line it would cross. And I want to quote from something that you had said about 4 or 5 years ago in an interview, when you were talking about apathy, and you said that what cheeses you, what is for you the most pressing national issue, is patriotic apathy.
Yes.
And he went on to say that a culture of fear, corruption, and a mockery of law and order forced upon us by the very people who are supposed to protect the moral principles.
Where on earth did I say that exactly?
You have said it.
I know I have. I was just curious.
But have you changed your mind? Do you think that it's any better now?
No, I haven't changed my mind.
Is that a failure of the artist to raise the consciousness of people, or is the artist himself or herself a victim of circumstances?
I think it's a bit of both. I think artists are victims in a little way, in that we've seen instances where it may not have to be an actor, but a journalist or whatever has been, you know, murdered. And so people are a little bit scared. But at the same time, there are people out there who do very politically challenging productions that not enough people go and see, or they'll go and see it and they won't come away and think. It's that I think apathy is still as strong today as it ever was, but in tiny ways, in just
But how can it change?